everyone. Welcome to the Nothing But Sports podcast. I'm Jesse. My co-host is
Kyle.
Kyle.
Kyle,
We are
killing it from the start.
you're what?
Killing it from the start.
Killing it from the start.
Each other.
That's how it's going to be. We want to say hi to the one person that's going to listen to this. Hey, Dad.
Hey, Steve.
You're aboard. Although I did hear Alex today is going to listen to this too. So that's two people. But anyhow, we're brothers. We grew up in Indiana. I'm the oldest. Kyle's the youngest. Kyle, where you live now? What are you doing?
Good old Elkhart, Indiana, cradle of civilization. Working at Goshen Health, so we got a little product placement here, which you can hardly see.
Yeah, Goshen Health.
Got my contact number on there.
If you are in the health field, Goshen is it's like living in Los Angeles, basically the same. So
it's a serious geographical draw.
Yeah. So, and are you married?
Yes, married, one dog child.
One dog child. Would you like to shout out your wife or no? You're gonna keep her totally off the podcast.
Wonderful Amanda. She's downstairs taking a nap currently after we have stripped cabinets for the last 2.5 hours.
All right. I'm glad you had cabinets to that because it was going to be weird at the start. Well, I'm Jesse. I have a wife, Emily, and 3 children, 6, 3, and a 6-month-old. That would be Micah, Kate, and Ben. Micah is a girl, by the way, even though you probably wouldn't know that by the name. And Micah drew this beautiful dog that is my background on Zoom because I don't have a fancy bookcase because I don't have time to read. Anyhow, so we figured we'd start with brackets. So Kyle, how many college basketball games you watched this season so far?
So as I was filling my bracket out, I realized that I had seen maybe 4 teams on the entire bracket play this year. So I've watched Iowa play like 10 times, Purdue play like 4 times, and everyone else play maybe 2 additional games.
All right. Well, that's probably more than I've watched. I think I've watched in totality, if you added the minutes up, 4 games. So if you're looking for expert, it's not here. You're not getting any expert takes on college basketball. When we start talking about baseball, we feel pretty good about that. But with college basketball, listen to the Titus and Tate podcast if you need people who watch college basketball every day. But we do pay attention to it.
I would say our college basketball analysis is similar for what you're going to get from Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe, in that they don't watch until the tournament.
Yeah, that's correct. See, when we were growing up, we didn't have a TV for a long time. We kind of were like basically Amish people. But we lived in Indiana, so we would borrow a TV from someone for March Madness. So we're on about a similar footing as when we were like 10 and 6 watching the tournament. And
very similar.
We'll see. But no Duke, no Kentucky. Very strange year.
No Arizona.
No Arizona. Yeah, your favorite team, Arizona, and my favorite team, the Iowa Hawkeyes, are a 2 seed, which I think is the highest seed they've had in my lifetime, or at least since I was very, very, very young. And our dad will tell you all about that, but we won't have it on the podcast. We just talk about Iowa basketball forever. Anyhow, so let's go ahead and get started, I guess. And I guess we didn't really introduce the podcast much at all, did we? Let's backtrack for a second. All right. Kyle and I talk on the phone all the time about sports and then eventually about other things. And so we figured, make a podcast and maybe some people will want to listen to it and maybe they won't. And either way, we're going to have these calls anyways. So we'll throw it out there. We'll have some bets every week that you can tell us how stupid we are, and we'll see how much money we lose every week. We'll have some family segments at the end and some recommendations on TV shows or whatever we're doing. Like I think Kyle would not recommend tearing down cabinets based on what he's currently doing.
Yeah, it's the worst. I would say a lot of our inspiration would come from Bill and Cousin Sal. Long-time listener, first-time caller. And then Jesse is going to be the intelligence of this conversation, and I'm going to be kind of, if anyone listens to the Dan Le Batard show, maybe the Stugotz, where you can be terrible and maybe funny on occasion, and it still might work.
Yeah, and here's how you know this podcast is screwed, because if I'm the one that has to be the intelligent one, we're in a lot of trouble. But anyhow, we hope you like it if you listen, and we're going to have a bunch of our friends on at different times. Like next week, we're going to have my friend Alex Smith on to discuss the fact that the Bears, after signing Andy Dalton, went from 40-1 to win the Super Bowl to 50-1. So they made their big free agent signing and are less likely to win the Super Bowl now. So he'll be angry, and that'll be awesome, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. But Anyhow,
Red Rifle's going to look great in
Red
the Bears
Rifle,
uniforms.
Red
You've got the
Rocket,
accent
baby.
already right there.
Yeah, he does. He will blend in with the Bears colors, so that might help camouflage. So I was going to say something else, and now I forgot, but that's going to be pretty normal probably. Should we get to the brackets?
Sure.
All right, so here's how we'll do it. I'm going to kind of fill yours out as you go, and maybe I'll ask you why you picked something, and then you can tell us that you don't know, just like me.
Okay.
So we'll start. You got your bracket in front of you?
Sure do.
All right. Oh, by the way, this is not like a thing where we don't like each other. We're actually like best friends. That's one of the reasons we do this. And so we like to hang out, and we thought maybe people would want to hang out with us sometimes. And I know I have some people that I work with that are excited to watch this nonsense. So we'll see. Anyhow, Gonzaga region, that would be the West, all happening in Indianapolis, our home state.
Yep, going to be there this weekend. It's going to be awesome.
That's right. You are going to be there. College basketball tournament should be in Indiana every year. Indiana is
really where basketball,
all the basketball should be. Anyhow, do you have any upsets in the first round on that side of on that bracket? We'll go all the way to 4.
Let's see. So I got Norfolk State knocking off Gonzaga in the very first game.
That's a lie.
Let's see. I do have my first upset's 12-5 in that bracket. So
you Santa Barbara,
California, Santa Barbara upsetting Creighton.
Cool. Okay.
And I don't really have a reason for that other than that I like 12-5 matchups, and I haven't seen either one of them.
And Creighton's coach got in trouble for telling his players to stay on the plantation earlier, so they may not be thrilled to play for him.
That's a pretty great sign.
Even in like 50 years ago, you shouldn't say that. Anyhow, go ahead. No politics on this podcast. Continue.
Second upset I have is VCU over Oregon, and that would be my only 2 upsets for that side of the bracket.
Okay. So going through Gonzaga versus Oklahoma.
I think we're pretty much straight picks than the rest of this entire region, other than Kansas over Iowa.
Now I have that as well. Okay, and then Kansas. So you have Kansas over Iowa, and you have Gonzaga going through all the way.
Gonzaga, correct.
Listen, let's hear what you have to think. What do you think about Gonzaga? I know they play a weak schedule at the end of the year, but what do you think?
So I have seen 3 minutes of Gonzaga and about 30 seconds of highlights, so I can go really in depth here. I can't even think of it's Mark Few, and them,
good coach,
Mark Few and them boys. I'm gonna get them really motivated. They fail me every single year. I had a conversation with our wonderful Aunt Julie this past weekend out in Ohio, Orville, Ohio. And she has picked them every single year for about the last 10 years. So she's been highly ranked, and she's just been destroyed. So I'm going to stick with the Zags going all the way.
All right, great. All right, let's move down to the Michigan bracket, my least favorite team in this tournament.
Go
ahead. Upsets in the first round there?
Yeah, I have a couple at least. And this is my modified bracket from yesterday after learning that Michigan's number 2 scorer is out for probably the tournament.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You know
for
his
that.
name?
Sure don't.
I don't either. Go ahead. I think it's like Lemmers or something. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I have no idea. Let's see. I don't actually have an upset in the first round other than St. Bonaventure over LSU.
All right.
Who I believe you have knocking off Michigan.
I do, so that's a real problem for me.
So we have a little bit of a variance there.
Yeah. All right. What about the second round, Michigan, St. Bonnie?
So I've got Michigan coming out of that. Colorado beating Florida State, BYU over Texas, and Alabama over UConn.
The Mormons, huh?
Yeah. I like BYU this year.
All right. Have you watched them?
The lack of coffee, I think they're going to thrive.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but go ahead. Michigan, Colorado?
The Mormon, they can't have coffee.
Oh.
I have Michigan beating Colorado, and I think the Pac-12 is actually horrendous. So
I do too.
Hesitated to even have Colorado in that game.
I think that was a big college football game a long time ago. Cordell Stewart. Anyhow, BYU and Bama?
Bama.
And then Michigan and Bama?
Bama over Michigan. Yep.
All right. Well, our Final Four, spoiler alert, everyone, is the exact same on that side. So super exciting for the podcast content. All right. Let's move over to Baylor's bracket. Speaking of teams that perpetually disappoint in the tournament.
So I did not pick – I did pick Baylor to come out of this bracket, even though, again, I don't trust them at all because they kill me every year, just like Gonzaga does, just like Arizona does. I do have one of my picks here for one of my bets, which I won't. I guess I basically did just spoil, but Winthrop over Villanova.
Oh, we're gonna have the same one on that one too.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Villanova has two of their best players out. I know that too. I'm very proud of that analysis. All right, continue.
And Winthrop has lost what, one game the entire year?
Yeah, something like that. A 12 seed. That's brutal. Michigan State's an 11 seed. They lost like 20 games.
So that's about all I have for analysis on Winthrop.
Okay.
Have Purdue beating, I don't even know who UNT is, University of Northern Texas, maybe?
North Texas. Yeah, good job.
Nice, nailed it. Texas Tech over Utah State. Interesting. Arkansas over, it just says Gate. It's got to be Colgate.
What are you looking at? What kind of jank website is this?
This is the NCAA Final Four official website. I don't know.
This is ridiculous. All right.
All right, we got Florida over Virginia Tech and Ohio State over Florida.
All right. So you have Baylor beating North Carolina.
Yep.
Winthrop or Purdue?
Actually, no. I had Wisconsin there. So Baylor over Wisconsin. Sorry. I have Purdue over Winthrop.
Texas Tech and Arkansas?
Arkansas and Ohio State. And then Baylor over Purdue, Ohio State over Arkansas, and Baylor over OSU.
All right. And that leads us to our final section, Illinois section. I get in trouble at home because I apparently don't pronounce Illinois correctly. So, sorry. It's only bordered us growing up.
From the Midwest, we can't be expected to enunciate.
No, you can't have to say gone and went incorrectly every time. At least our mom does. Anyhow, go ahead. Sorry, Mom.
All right. So upsets here. I have, let's see, a whole bunch of nothing in the first round. So chalk all the way through. Have Illinois beating Loyola Chicago in the second round.
Are you like me and think that game might be a good game?
Possibly. How many years we were debating this? How long ago was it that Loyola made a run? Was that literally last year or was that 2 years ago?
No, I think it was 3 years ago. Because there wasn't a tournament last year. Did you know that the sister Jean, their super fan, they're letting her go.
She's going this year, right?
She's 101 years old. Listen, if I can make it to 101 and be half as sprite as that lady, I'd be thrilled. She is the best.
It's truly insane. So then I have Oklahoma State over Tennessee. San Diego State over West Virginia, and Houston over Clemson.
Okay, battle of the mid-majors, San Diego State and Houston.
So I actually have Houston in the championship game.
That's right. And have you feel pretty good about them, like their squad?
So I actually have watched them play once this year.
Okay.
For like a half. So fairly confident in that pick, as it turns out.
Yeah.
They also, I feel like, could lose to Clemson in the second round, so we'll see on that.
Sure.
I do then have Illinois beating Loyola Chicago, and then Oklahoma State over Tennessee, and then Illinois over Oklahoma State.
All right. I think I actually filled in the rest of your bracket for you. You have Gonzaga versus Houston in the final?
I do.
And Gonzaga winning it all?
Yes.
And if you had to put a score on that, what would you put?
77-72.
77-72. You were ready with that. Excellent. All right. Well, we'll go. Real quickly, if you're listening to this podcast, we will have our own podcast, ESPN Fan Challenge with a bracket. And I actually have a prize, a legit prize for whoever wins. And if it's me, I'm keeping it. But you can join as friends of the program. Even if you've never listened to this podcast, we'll post it up on our Facebook. And you can join us and we talk a bunch of trash of these podcast hosts who know nothing, which we already know to be true. All right, I'll go through mine really fast. I actually will just tell you who I have in my Sweet 16. My bracket's not that much different than Kyle. Starting in the West, I have Gonzaga against Virginia in one matchup, and Kansas versus Iowa. I have Gonzaga beating Virginia, Kansas beating Iowa, and Gonzaga going to the Final Four. So pretty similar to what you had. I am an Iowa fan. I don't think there's any way they can match up with Kansas and beat them. But you never know. They would need a big, big shooting night because if they don't hit threes, they're pretty slow. They're pretty unathletic. I don't think that's happening for them. And if they did make it to play Gonzaga, we've already seen that once this year, and that's a bloodbath. So
didn't go well.
No, Suggs just ate them alive and would again. They don't have anyone that can handle him in any way. And by the way, this is the one part of the bracket I actually feel pretty good about analyzing. So here comes a mess with the rest. All right. My big upset of the tournament is LSU beating Michigan. I think Michigan's played really poorly down the stretch without one of their best guys. And I think LSU is super talented. They're one of those teams they could come out, lose to St. Bonaventure by 10, but I also think they could take it to Michigan. So we'll see. I have them playing Florida State in the Sweet 16 and then Florida State beating them. I have Michigan State. This is my other big upset. Beating UCLA, beating Texas, and then playing Alabama in the Sweet 16. Wow. Another team that's very up and down, so you never know. But I have Alabama playing Florida State in the Elite Eight there, and Alabama going to the Final Four just like Kyle did. So very boring, as we both picked the exact same thing. And then on the other side, I have Baylor playing Villanova. No, I don't. I'm changing this. Sorry. I have Baylor playing Winthrop, as you're about to find out in my bets. And I have Winthrop beating actually North Texas to go to the Sweet 16. I got double upset there. Arkansas over against Ohio State in the Sweet 16. Baylor and Ohio State meeting the Elite Eight, and Ohio State going to the Final Four. I think they're really good, and I don't trust Baylor at all. And then finally, in the Midwest, I have Illinois playing Oklahoma State. I've watched some Oklahoma State. I don't quite understand why everyone loves Cade Cunningham so much, but I would love to be proved wrong because I think that team is really fun. But I think Illinois is too much for them. So I have them going to the Elite Eight, and I have them meeting West Virginia after West Virginia has knocked off your championship attending Houston. Do you even know their mascot?
Rockets.
Listen, they might be able to beat the Rockets right now. But I believe
Wizards of 17 straight.
17 straight. That's really impressive. Yeah, John Wall must love that trade. Anyhow, I have Illinois playing West Virginia, and then Illinois going to the Final Four, which leads me with Gonzaga beating Alabama, Illinois beating Ohio State, and Gonzaga beating Illinois 91-74 in the final. I don't think Gonzaga's offense can be stopped. And those are our brackets. By the way, I have
cool.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Question for you. Of your Final Four teams, how many have you actually seen play this year?
One. How about you?
Well, 1.5. Not even quite 1.5. I've seen halves of my two final teams.
Okay. Well, guess what? We're going to come on after the first week of the tournament, and we're going to pick the Sweet 16 again after we've watched all these teams play. I already told my 6-year-old she better get ready to just watch basketball for 4 days straight, and she says, okay, so we're going to do it. Speaking of which, I had my kids fill out a bracket. My 6-year-old just simply picked the two states that she loves, Florida and Iowa. She lives in Florida. Her grandparents live in Iowa. So she picked Iowa to beat Florida in the national championship game, which is plausible. My 3-year-old has Wichita State and Cleveland State squaring off in the finals. That's an 11 seed with a play-in game against a 15 seed. And Cleveland State taking it home. Now, I have to tell you, I'm very proud of her because she knows I'm a big Cleveland Indians fan. And I think that's why she picked Cleveland State all the way. So that makes me happy. So anyhow, you plan on watching a lot of basketball while you strip cabinets this weekend?
Well, I'm only stripping cabinets on Friday and Monday. And in between that, I literally am just going to shoot basketball into my veins.
That sounds like a great time. Did you know, fun fact for the podcast this week, March Madness opening week is the number one time by like a humongous margin for vasectomies every year. Men go, you know what? This terrible thing is going to happen to me, the old snip, snap, as Michael Scott would say. I'm going to do it while I can sit and watch basketball for 4 days in a row. So there you go. Last year, probably no vasectomies, no March Madness, lots of kids. Terrible. Anyhow, I'm going to stop now while I'm ahead.
It really is a heady play, though. I mean,
yeah.
If you're going to be stuck on a couch, you might as well be watching basketball.
Might as well. Pretty good. I mean, you can't get up after that terrible thing. You just got to watch basketball for days. Anyhow,
I think it's also been surveyed as the least productive stretch of work weeks in the entire year, every single year.
That Thursday and Friday, you would be smart to say, look, everybody works 10 hours Monday through Wednesday. do your best. You probably get incredible productivity for those 3 days. Come in Thursday till 11:30, you're out. And then people would love you, and you probably get more done. So there's a reason CBS has that boss button that you can hit to make it look like you're reading emails as you hit off of the game that you're watching. All right. We're going to have 3 short-term bets every week called the Bets of the Week, really original title. And we're going to act like we spent $100 on each bet. All these lines come from FanDuel, which is a big sponsor of the podcast, as you can imagine. We have money rolling and lining up. We'll do Simply Safe next week. Shout out to the Bill Simmons podcast.
I would say we've actually sponsored FanDuel more than they've sponsored us in the last couple months with our betting streaks.
Yeah, there was a streak. By the way, I'd like it to be clear, I really don't gamble, but I did put a little money on FanDuel one time. I think Kyle maybe even given it to me for my birthday, and it has not gone really well. Went well for a little bit, then not very well. So we're going to go back and forth.
Quite a cover up for the wife there, Emily. He's actually funneling me a couple $1,000s every single week.
Yeah. Well, I sell a lot of baseball cards, so life's pretty good. Anyhow, so give me your first March Madness. I told Kyle we're doing 3 March Madness bets for the opening weekend that we'll be able to come back next week on the podcast and talk about. So what's your first one?
Okay, so I apparently did not follow the rules. I thought it was 2 first bets and then 1 long-term bet that we can measure kind of at the end of the tournament.
Go ahead.
So my first one is a long-term bet, and that's Houston to make the Final Four. It's plus 330.
All right, I like that one. I am
really jumping on the Houston bandwagon there.
You know what? I am going to jump on that one. I will go look at odds after this. I'm going to pick Ohio. I'm going to do the same one, so we'll be uniform here. I'll take Ohio State to make the Final Four. That'll be my long-term March Madness bet. And you can laugh at us next week when we come back and both those teams are eliminated after 2 games. All right, I'll go ahead and do one since I have 3 games this weekend. I have I thought I'd give one from Thursday from the first 4. I have Michigan State. The spread is 2 points. They're favored by 2 points. I'll take Michigan State -2. I think they win pretty easily over UCLA. That's my first bet. I have no reason for that except that I think Izzo is a way, way better coach than Mick Cronin, UCLA's coach. Go ahead. What's your first pick?
All right, so I actually have a parlay here for my first pick, and one of them is the Michigan State game. Michigan State -2. My argument for Michigan State is that the Pac-12 is terrible, so UCLA is going to lose, in my opinion. Have that parlayed with West Virginia -13 over Morehead State. Combined, that's a plus 264. Logic for the Morehead State loss, even though I think they've gone like 18-1 down the stretch. They've played 3 Power 5 teams this year and lost by an average of 28 points. So I think West Virginia will mop the floor with them, even with the -13.
Research. Nice. West Virginia can score too. That's always nice when you're trying to do that. All right. Well, I think I'm going to step on one of your bets here. I have Winthrop money line as my next bet. I think Villanova has been absolutely putrid the last few weeks. They lost two important guys from their team. So I will take the Winthrop money line, and I forgot to write down the odds, but I think it's like
220.
All right, it's plus 220. You have that one too?
Yeah, that was my third.
All right, well, maybe we should talk about these beforehand, but Winthrop plus 220, we both lose big if they don't win, but we feel pretty good if they do. And then my last one, you already know how I feel about LSU since I have them beating Michigan. I have LSU -1.5 to beat St. Bonaventure. Another 8-9 game, I almost took North Carolina too, but I decided not to. So those are our bets. If Winthrop goes down, we both go down. But if Winthrop wins, we're both going to be up pretty good to start things off.
Yep.
So, that is that. Now, we're going to get into a sport we actually know what we're talking about. Kyle and I played baseball forever. God didn't give us a lot of things, a lot of skills. Actually, he did. That's a lie. But we definitely both can throw a baseball. And so we played a lot of baseball, have bonded over that our whole lives. And now we're going to talk about home run leaders for the year for the major leagues. So this is by the way, you can tell if you have a gambling problem if you bet on this, because this is impossible. Impossible. If you can go back and name me the last 5 home run leaders, good luck. We tried to argue about this the other day, or the last 2. It never makes sense. Like I think last year was Luke Voigt. No, not anyone would have gotten that. The year before was Pete Alonso, who was a rookie and no one even knew who he was. Like you can't win on this stuff, but we're going to try anyways. So thankfully this is not real money we're betting. So Kyle, if you had to pick, what we're going to do is first we'll say who we actually think will lead the major league in home runs. Who's your guy to lead the major league in home runs this year?
So I actually like Pete Alonso to do it again. As you look back as far as home runs per at bat, he's way up there in the last 3 years. He also has a ton of protection this year on a Mets lineup that actually should be decent compared to what it's been the last couple of years with the addition of a couple Indians guys. And
yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Let's not talk about that. That's enough. We're not going to talk
Frank
about
Lindor going to sign a big extension, never going to come back to the Indians. But yeah, I actually think the Mets are going to be good this year, especially when they get their pitching staff fully healthy. And part of that is going to be Pete Alonso mashing a whole bunch of home runs, and maybe Dominic Brown hitting a bunch as well.
And do you have the odds on that? Is he plus 1,200?
1,200.
Okay, I thought so. So he is the co-favorite with Mike Trout, I believe.
Yes.
Which makes sense. Those are the guys you would pick. My guy is actually Cody Bellinger. He is a weird guy in that it's about an every other year type situation for him. So last year he really was pretty bad. Weird season. I don't really even count last year against most of these guys or for them for that reason. But the year before, 2019, his last full season, 47 homers, won the MVP. He's got massive power. We know he's got protection like Kyle was talking about with Alonso. He's got all kinds of protection in that lineup, especially since they signed Justin Turner. And if you look, 2018, he was not very good. But 2017, his rookie year, 132 games, 39 home runs. So every other year, he absolutely rakes. This is his year. I think he's going to hit 51 home runs and just edge out your boy Pete Alonso, who will hit 48. Those are my thoughts. So we then decided to pick a medium long shot. Did you come up with a medium long shot?
So I don't know if you really qualify this as medium, because I think he's right on the edge of being pretty close to a potential favorite, but I really like Eloy Jimenez to hit about 48-ish this year.
Yeah, he's plus 2,300 because that's also my pick.
Mm-hmm. We probably should talk this over beforehand, yeah. But I mean, again, if you look at home runs hit per at bat in the last 2 years, he's way up there, and he's super young, only going to get better. And again, in a lineup that I think is going to be terrifying, in an AL Central that the pitching is not nearly what it used to be in the last couple of years, with the Indians trading away 17 aces and the Twins not having a lot of pitching. Indians? I mean, I've got a rag on them.
Cleveland baseball team, actually, soon to be.
That's fair. But yeah, I hate the White Sox as a lifelong Twins fan, who the Twins currently holders of the worst playoff record streak in baseball. And I think it's going to happen again this year. I don't even know if the Twins are going to make the playoffs, because the White Sox are going to be really good. And I think Eloy is a big part of that.
So here's my thought on Eloy. You got 5 tools in baseball, right? Can Eli play defense? No. He's terrible. Can he throw? No. Doesn't have a good arm. Is he going to hit for average? No. Can he run? No. He's a bad base runner and he's slow. But does he hit? Yeah. The guy just hits. And I think he's probably going to hit about 258 and a ton of home runs. And he plays in a good ballpark. And you were right. I mean, the Tigers pitching, terrible. Indians, they have Bieber. And then it's pretty eh. The Royals, the Twins, these are all teams with very little pitching. And so, yeah, I think he rakes. I actually think Luis Robert is interesting, or Robert, however you want to pronounce it, as a really long shot also, because I just think that team's going to mash and mash. So, all right. I hope our long shots are not the same, but I think they might be. Go ahead. Who's your guy?
Well, I picked 2 just in case they are the same, and I think one of them might be your guy. Soler is one of them.
That's my guy. Okay, do your other guy.
The other one that I wanted to take, and speaking of one-tool players, is Kyle Schwarber, and kind of stuck with the same theme and at bats per home run in the last couple of years, and he's way up there. Just hasn't had the chance to play much in Chicago with DH and their depth issues, or plethora of depth at the positions he's trying to play with Rizzo and whatnot.
Yeah, you can't play any of the positions. That's the problem.
That is the problem. Can't play like a defense, but he's going to play a lot, I think, in Washington this year, and that lineup's pretty solid. Sandwich him either in front or behind of Harper, and I think they're actually going to be pretty good this year. Bounce back from a horrendous 2020.
Harper does not play for Washington. I'd like to be clear on that.
That's fair. You know, I'm just kind of living in
Soto.
There we go.
Yeah,
I'm living in 20. Maybe what was that, like 2017, maybe?
Yeah, well, good then.
But I do think Schwarber's going to hit a lot of home runs. He may not hit over 200, but doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right. And you know you have odds on him?
6,500.
Wow. That's pretty good. Pretty good for a long shot. All right. My last guy is, Kyle and I talked about this last night, Jorge Soler. Again, last year, not good. 60 strikeouts, 170, 149 at bats. I mean, it's a tough time. Only 8 homers. But 2019, last full season, he led the American League in home runs really quietly. No one cared. It was the Royals. They were horrible. He also led the American League in strikeouts with 178. This is what he does. He swings hard. He hopes and prays. He hits. I don't know. Could he run into 45, 48 again this year and no one else is that high? I think so. He is, you know what? I forgot. Oh yeah, plus 4,800. It's not an outrageous long shot, but 4,800, that's pretty good return for a guy who led the American League just the last full year that we played baseball. So I don't know. But anyhow, we are pretty geeky about baseball, and next week we're going to do a big I think next week we're going to do a big baseball preview, over-unders for every team, and you'll notice, like Kyle said, you'll see a lot of shout outs to our favorite podcast, like the Bill Simmons podcast. So we'll do over-unders and our locks and all of that, and we'll probably be wrong, although I did pretty well in over-unders last year. Not too bad. And
did actually do pretty well, and this is so on. Again, the one topic that I think we can intelligently speak on that, and potentially some NBA basketball as well.
Yeah, and we'll do fine when football comes up too. We'll do fine. We can share our terrible fantasy moments because, boy, we co-manage a team and we are bad at it. We're not good. We last year we accidentally forgot to keep Dalvin Cook, and then ended up drafting. Who did we draft first? It was
Thomas.
Bad. Was it King and Drake? Might have been
Michael Thomas, I think.
No, we didn't have Michael Thomas this year. We could have kept him too. We didn't keep either of them. We drafted King and Drake instead. So that was Drake. Yeah. That was great. We're really good at it, as you can tell. All right. Well, I think we'll actually save what might be my favorite segment for the end. It's called the Family Fiasco. And we're going to tell some stories of our families. And often it will be Kyle talking about his dog, all right, I got to make a point here. Usually, you people who have no kids but only pets, if you're with friends and they have kids and they're telling stories about their kids, and then you chime in with a story about your pet, this is usually going to get a eye roll behind your back from your friends with kids, because it is not close to the same. Except, I needed to say, Kyle's dog is the closest thing I have ever seen to the difficulty of an actual child. That dog is something else, and my kids love him from afar, and he's a very lovable dog. But anyhow, we'll get to that Family Fiasco. I have a good story about Kyle, actually, for the end today. I have to be careful not to tell too many because he's got plenty about me too. But first, Kyle, do you have anything you're watching or reading that you would recommend to our lovely audience of Dad, basically?
Of Dad. So I actually have 2 movies that I watched recently, and I'm going to do this like every week because you'll find out, the one person that listens to this, that I watch a ton of movies. So
that's true.
The first that we watched last week, and this was actually a movie that Amanda and I both liked, was called The Little Things. Brand new movie. I think it was on HBO. It's with Denzel and Rami Malek and Malik.
About a murderer, right? A serial killer.
Yes, serial killer, and Jared Leto. Was actually surprisingly good. The reviews were kind of mid-range. It was like a 6.2 on IMDb, but it was really good actually, and not so intense that Amanda has sleeping problems that she wasn't awake thinking that we were getting broken into and killed throughout the entire night. So I would recommend it. It was actually pretty good.
All right.
The second one, and this is actually specifically for Dad because I think he would enjoy it. I really like World War I and World War II movies. There's a fairly new one called The 12th Man. It's a true story about there were 12 saboteurs that landed on the northern coast of Norway. The Nazis caught 11 of them, and one of them got away, ran away through the mountains barefoot, got shot in the foot, and then it's basically just a sludge through his survival and escape back to the Allied lines. So it was really, really good, actually. Not exactly an uplifting Sunday
No, it doesn't
afternoon
sound like it.
movie.
Neither of your movies appear to be that way.
But they were both great, and definitely The 12th Man if you like history movies.
All right. Well, that is right down Dad's alley, whose all-time favorite movie is Gettysburg, as we well know and sat through many times as kids, about 94 hours long. Anyhow, so I have been kept hearing about this show, and I thought, well, you know what, I'll give it a try. So we signed up for our 1-month trial of Apple Plus TV and started watching Ted Lasso. And let me tell you something. Stop watching this podcast or listening to it and just tune out the rest of it and go start this show. It's the best. It's got Jason Sudeikis, who's also one of the producers. It's funny, you may remember when NBC first got the Premier League, they did these joke commercials about a guy from America, a football coach, going over and coaching a Premier League team. And it was Jason Sudeikis who did the thing in the commercials, and it was ridiculous. Well, they actually made a show around it, and you may think like that's the dumbest idea for a show I've ever heard. And I would agree with you, except this show is incredible. Like, if 2020 has made you just like down in the dumps for a year now, into 2021 now, I'm telling you got to go watch this show. It's funny, it's uplifting, it's sports, it's great. Now, if you're a soccer purist, you're going to have a problem with a few of the soccer things, but who cares? Get over it. I'm telling you, we watched 10 episodes in 3 nights. We would have done it in 2, except for the stupid Bachelor had to be on one of the nights. And by the way, if you want an opposite of a recommendation, that's The Bachelor. This is just the worst on every level of everything. You want to see all that's wrong with the United States, just watch The Bachelor and you go, oh, those people, that show. Got it. Anyhow, I'm off my soapbox now. But Ted Lasso, Apple TV, you won't regret it. I promise. And if you do, I don't know what to tell you. It's so good. So, Kyle, I'm expecting you to watch it next week so we can talk about it.
I'm going to need your Apple TV login to do that.
Well, listen, we share a lot of things. We share Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Hulu. Yeah, you can have it as long as you'll watch it. And Amanda will like it too. It'll be great. All right. I'm going to let you go first. This is a family fiasco. Stories could be from our week or could be historical stories, since we are brothers and have done lots of dumb stuff together. Go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to go with a recent one, and this is going to be about the dog who just popped in.
Oh, Sully. He's the cutest. You got to see this dog. He might not be able to.
So for those of you listening that don't know the dog, which is none of you because it's one person listening that does know the dog, he's a German short-haired pointer who is really intense. They have a lot of energy. They're hunting dogs, mainly bird dogs. So he has lately gotten into, when we leave him home alone, going and grabbing our clothes for some reason. And he doesn't chew them up, at least not mine, thankfully. But I don't know if he's just lonely sitting at home while we're both at work or what, but it was kind of cute at first for like, we'd come home and there'd be one shirt sitting in the living room, or there'd be one random sock that we clearly knew we didn't just leave sitting on a couch. It's gotten to the point where he will take my laundry basket that is stacked on top of a table, take it down and bring up one pair of boxers, some socks, a shirt, a pair of sweats, and then he'll go upstairs and get into Amanda's laundry basket and bring down the exact same things. And he's now resorted to stuffing them into the cracks of the couch. So, which is hilarious when we get home and there's our whole wardrobe just stuffed into the couch, but not great when we have company coming over and you sit down on the couch and the crack opens up and there's some dirty boxers there. So it's become less and less ideal, but he doesn't chew them up, so I can't yell at him. The other day he brought 2 pairs of shoes upstairs and just hung out with them. No bite marks, nothing.
He just likes you guys.
Stinky shoes.
Just the smells. All right. There's lots of good Sully stories. I don't know of any pet that's ever cost his owners more money than Sully has cost you guys. It's remarkable. All right. So we're going way, way back for my first story. And I promise not to tell too many stories about Kyle and our growing up unless they're called for. But this is, I don't know, Kyle, we were probably like 12 and 8 at this point, maybe. And I'm 4 years older than Kyle, almost exactly by a couple months. And so we are tasked with our chores for the day. The lovely Brenda Bachman, who did everything, would every once in a while give us some work to do and give us a list, often on Saturday or whatever. So I get vacuuming, Kyle gets dusting. And let me tell you something. Kyle does a lot of things well. He did not dust well. This is.
You just got to slap the rag around, get a little
Yeah, you got to make it
look
look like it got wet.
Just
Anyhow,
hit some stuff.
It's an all-time poor job by Kyle this day. He's eating an apple. He's not dusting. He's just like walking around. So I am heckling him from across the room while I'm vacuuming, right? Just letting him hear about it. Because we want to get outside or play video games or whatever we're going to do. I'm sure we weren't going to play video games because we probably didn't have a TV at that point. But I'm just hurling insults across at him, and he's eating this apple, pretty big apple. So I hurl another insult. I turn around to keep vacuuming, and all of a sudden, I hear the whack, and Kyle has thrown. And again, I was going to make this point at this point. I remember now. Again, God blessed us with good, strong throwing arms. Both shoulders had to be surgically repaired, Kyle's and mine, but that was much later. He had decided inside our living room, which was carpeted, to throw this apple as hard as he could at me. He missed, thankfully, but he hit this old, strong wooden rocking chair, and the apple literally exploded into our living room. There's just pieces of apple everywhere. Now you may think to yourself, well, I bet you Kyle got in a lot of trouble for that one. Wrong. You know who got in trouble for this? Me. Always, if you're the oldest person in your family, you know how this story ends. I get in trouble for inciting violence from this guy, and I end up having to bear the brunt of the punishment for Kyle throwing an apple inside a home and nearly killing me. Would you like to tell that story any different, or is that about how it went?
So in fairness, the heckling had been incessant for like 10 minutes, and I was doing a pretty good job of slapping that rag on some furniture.
Not true.
So it wasn't deserved. So it was incited by the older brother who's supposed to be more responsible and actually supposed to take the higher road. And then you didn't even get hit with the apple.
It's true.
So you were already sweeping. There wasn't a piece of the apple left that was bigger than like a millimeter. So you just swept it up.
It really did explode. It was incredible. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. That is my family fiasco for the week. Not the first time, not the last time Kyle would try to inflict bodily harm on me, and not the last time I probably deserved it a little bit too. We agree with that?
I think so.
All right. I said 30 minutes. It's 40 minutes now that we've been on this. I can't imagine anyone listening to us for longer than that. So, till next week.
Good job by you.
Any parting thoughts?
I'm pretty blank right now. It'll be on. Where is it going to be on?
Oh, yes, that's a good point. The Zoom video will go up on YouTube. We'll have a YouTube channel called, well, you know what? I'm not sure because I already have a login. I'll put that on Facebook with the rest of our stuff. We also have a Facebook page where we'll post links called Nothing But Sports Podcast, which is what this podcast is called until we decide we want to change it and call it something else. And yeah, so yeah, tell us what you think. Tell us if you'd add anything or subtract anything, and we probably won't listen to you, but maybe. And you can make fun of our bets or put your own bets on that Facebook page, and we'll kind of keep track of how we do. I'm going to keep a spreadsheet, and we'll see how many thousands of dollars we're down a month from now.
And you may want to fade our bets and potentially watch us in double speed on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we only take positive reinforcement. So any suggestions that are going to be uplifting.
Criticism can go in the trash can right over here.
It can go in the email, and it's fine.
Yeah, we'll just delete that puppy. But for real, you probably want to speed us up. And I give Kyle my bets because I can't actually put a bet in Florida on FanDuel because it's not allowed in this state. But if Kyle had just gone against my bets in the NFL playoffs, honestly, he could have made so much money. So
I think I'd be retired right now.
Yeah, this podcast could actually make you independently wealthy if you just go against our bets. I'm just letting you know. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, if you watch this, we appreciate you. And if you feel that you are an eligible podcast guest, which honestly is like, do you have a pulse? Can you make a sentence? Maybe we'll have you on. Let us know. That's it. Anything else? Did I hit everything?
I think you got it.
All right. See y'all later.